Speaking of perfect competition, let's get a little bit philosophical and maybe even provocative. Can profits persist in perfect competition? If you should find yourself a manager in a perfectly competitive firm, should you expect to be raking in tons and tons of excess profits over the long run? And the answer is no. First of all, let's remind ourselves that in the short run, all we can control is the quantity of output because our plant size or some other sort of input is probably fixed. That's the very definition of the short run. So to put to a graph this idea of marginal revenue and marginal cost, let's think about how in perfect competition, the price is the same as the marginal revenue. Since each firm is just a small portion of the total market, anytime they sell one more, they can't really choose the price. It's dictated by the market. So they sell one more at the market price. That's how much extra revenue they're going to get. Marginal cost, however, is different. Marginal cost, like most firms, rises after a point, the point of diminishing marginal returns, where your inputs start to get less and less productive as you crowd more and more of them into your fixed plant size, means that after a point, marginal cost rises, and at some quantity, and the quantity here looks to be about 50, the marginal revenue crosses the marginal cost, and that is your optimal output right there. When is production profitable? Well, if total revenue is above total cost, you would have a profit. If total revenue is equal to total cost, you would be called breaking even. And if total revenue is less than total cost, you are producing at a loss. Let's bring that into the graphs. Let's put the marginal cost and marginal revenue back up, and let's also add in average total cost. This is in the short run. So firms have a fixed plant size. At a quantity of 40, if the marginal revenue or the price is $14, it's just enough to cover the average cost. So what's happening is you're selling 40, each of them cost you $14, right, on average, and you're as a revenue, you're getting $14 for each of them. So you're just breaking even. Is this somewhere where you want to stay? It's not ideal, but you are covering all your costs. And so technically, even though this is a zero economic profit situation, you're covering all your costs. And you're doing about as well as other firms are doing, probably. You're just not earning excess profit above and beyond all the opportunity costs of your resources. Let's consider some other scenarios. What if the market price were to rise to $18? Maybe something happened in the market, perhaps demand rose for this product, and the market price is higher now, but we still have the same cost curves. Let's see what that looks like. So the optimal quantity, the first thing you always want to do is figure out the optimal quantity. That's where marginal revenue crosses marginal cost. Here it's at a quantity of 50. Now notice at 50, the marginal revenue, the price that we get for each unit, $18, is above what it costs on average to make each unit. How do we know? We compare that price to the average total cost curve. And at quantity of 50, the average total cost is something like $14.40. So we can actually calculate the total profit here. So per unit profit of $18 minus $14.40 at each unit of the 50 that we're selling is $3.60 of profit per unit, price minus average total cost, times 50, and that's going to give you a total profit of $180, which you can also see as that area of that rectangle over here. Notice that it is not necessarily the minimum average total cost. So we're not producing at the cheapest level of output on average, but we are producing at the most profitable. It's interesting to note that there's almost always a difference. So let's do a little bit of practice. If we've got a competitive firm where the marginal cost curve intersects with the average total cost curve at its minimum point, the firm will earn what? A, positive economic profits, B, zero economic profits, or C, a short-run loss. Pause for the answer. All right, so this case is just like the first case where we were just earning enough to cover our average total costs, and that gives us 0 economic profits. How do you go about systematically calculating profits? Again, profit is total revenue minus total cost. If you manipulate algebraically, you can get to the position where price minus average total cost times quantity is equal to your profit. And the break-even price is the price at which you earn a 0 economic profit. So let's try one more check-in question. If a firm is earning positive economic profit, it must be the case that A, price is less than average cost, B, price is equal to average cost, C, price is equal to total cost, or D, price is greater than average cost. Pause for the answer. And the answer is price is greater than average cost. And our last practice question for now. Ralph opened a small shop selling bags of trail mix. Ralph's got big dreams. The price of the mix is $5 and the market for trail mix is very competitive. Which quantity will he produce? So we're missing one curve in here, which is the marginal revenue curve. You always want the marginal revenue to cross the marginal cost. So you might draw that in here, and it's going to be a flat line at marginal revenue equals price for perfectly competitive firms. So $5, make a line across there, and it looks like that will cross your marginal cost curve, right? So your marginal revenue, marginal cost curves need to cross for your optimal output, and that's going to be at a quantity of around 14. And if Ralph faces those market conditions, is he earning a profit? Yes. Could you calculate it? Yes. So you're producing 14 and your per unit profit looks to be about $1 at the quantity of 14. So profit is probably around $14. Now, what if a firm cannot make enough revenue to cover their costs? Let's look at a loss situation. So now the market price has fallen to $10 and there's no quantity which would allow us to cover our costs. Notice that the price is below the average total cost at every quantity. Does that mean there are worse and better quantities? Yes. So you might still find that you're producing even at a loss. Why would you do that? We'll talk about that in a minute. But we're still looking for where marginal cost crosses marginal revenue, and that's going to be here at a quantity of 30. Now we're going to be earning a loss, and we can figure out the loss just like we figure out profit by comparing the price to the average total cost at the quantity that we've chosen. So we choose the quantity first, then we compare the price to the average cost for firms in perfect competition, and it looks like we're losing about $4.67 per unit on each of the 30. So you're losing $140. Before you go crying yourself into a beer and trying to shut down immediately, hold on. It may be better to stay in business and operate at a loss than shut down and perhaps face an even bigger loss. Tune in to the tutorial Perfect Competition and the Shutdown Decision to find out more.